So kind of transitioning now to that owner side, what is the biggest thing for you that's been different from being out of the car?
Trying to keep everything organized, and it's tough. You know, I find myself, it's every night you gotta, like I said, I take care of all the motors and I take care of a lot of suspension stuff and stuff like that. And, with Ricky, I'm able to spread it out, and I've got helpers on all the cars too, guys that just, we just point and aim, and, they can get the wheels changed, the tires changed and stuff like that, and do a lot of that labor work that takes time. And I got to try and focus on keeping our motors safe and stuff like that. But I think just correlating with everybody and trying to keep a schedule going, knowing which driver's coming in what week, who needs what, everybody's different. I was real fortunate when I came up because I had Jerry Bundy, and Jerry Bundy ran for many, many years there. He ran from the 70s, and he was very good, and he was my crew chief for a long time. But he was that crew chief to understand what the driver felt because he drove.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big deal. I mean, you get some of these crew chiefs and say, this is a setup, get in and drive it, and that's it.
Yeah.
I try to be more of that guy that wants to really try and focus on reading the driver and the car together, because what one guy sees may not be what he's really feeling, or vice versa. And so I think I go a little farther on trying to make the driver comfortable, because if the driver's not comfortable and confident, he's not going to drive it hard. Yeah. And that's really what we try to push on all these guys is, we want them to drive the shit out of these cars. That's what they only work that way. And just give them a good piece.
Yeah.
We try to put all good iron on the track and at a reasonable cost, and and I feel like we can get things done.
What have you found more rewarding, your race career or owning cars now?
Oh man.
Loaded question, but I'm sure they both have really rewarding aspects of it.
They do.
Sure.
I went from, I always wanted to win, so my racing, that's what I did. I was on the hammer all the time, and liked it right on the wall. Try moving the wall a lot. Doesn't move.
Nope.
No. The wheel halves move.
Yeah.
Yeah. They narrow up a little bit, but
wall didn't move for you.
Wall didn't move. Steve got mad at me, or he didn't get mad at me. He joked at me. We crashed one night, and I dented his new steel wall.
He sent you the bill?
No, not when I paid it. But no, racing was my deal. But I think it became more of a deal that I've got so much going on with Speed Mart and a family and and all that stuff going, that if I got hurt, I feel like I put in a lot of hard, good competitive years.
Yeah.
I cleared the fence as far as like coming out unscathed, and I feel pretty fortunate that way, We've had some nasty spills, and I've always walked away. But in this deal, I'm still getting my gratification, and it's seeing the results, and it's seeing an improvement in the drivers and stuff. Like Tanner Holm here, for instance, he come out of a 600 micro sprint. You're talking a 130 horsepower car to a 750 horsepower car, and I knew he would be good because he's a smart driver. I watched him out there. He's around the midgets. He's aggressive, but he's clean. I really enjoyed watching him grow.
Yeah.
This is his third year in, and I feel like he's right on the edge of being able to win a race, I think.
Yeah.
And I just keep watching these guys, and Alden in our 305 car, I know he's going to do well. The whole 305 program we're trying to get to take, and it's going to be a growth period. And,
yeah, for sure.
And I like, I was a bit skeptical in the beginning of it because, I was a guy that always built my own sportsman engines.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I don't like the idea of a sealed engine because there's no one around here sealing them. Well,
yeah.
They've put all that together now. They got Galen as a sealing guy, and so a guy can build his motor in his garage still, and he's just got to come over and tech it and put the seals on it and stuff like that. And you can't get back into that motor.
No?
Not without cutting that seal, no. And it'll be very obvious if somebody tries tinkering around with it. And even along the years, I know there's been cheater motors out there, and there's a lot of guys that do it, and there's a lot of guys that quit because they know they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
You know, and just like when they brought in a certain head rule, then all of a sudden everybody had new heads the next year. So what's that tell you?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's pretty obvious. So in the long spectrum, in a slow transition, I think it's going to be a great deal for the track and for people saving money. Yeah, they cost the same as an open sporting motor, but you can, I mean, they go for 50, 60, 70 shows.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're running 11 shows a year,
A couple years you can go.
guy can get quite a few years out of the same motor. Maybe look at the valve springs and that's it.
Wow.
So I think in the long run, it's always been in sprint car racing, your initial cost is the motor.
Yeah.
Period. The car is the cheap thing. You know, it's all the rest of the stuff that comes along with it. And if you take care of your motor, and you got to have a good motor under the hood, or I mean, that's really where a lot of this is at. You know, especially when you get into qualifying and stuff. So you got to have a good bullet under the hood. But anyway, so it's pretty. I got kind of off the page there, but
No, that's good.
It's pretty rewarding watching all these guys grow.
Yeah.
It really is, and then you start getting results and stuff like that, and that's kind of how I get my win now.
What would your biggest piece of advice be to someone who wants to get into owning a sprint car or even a sprint car team?
Well, I mean, to be dead honest, that's part of why I created this.
Yeah.
This is opportunity right here for a guy to go out and, for one, take our school day, you know, because that's a requirement. I won't put anybody in a race car that I don't feel is adequate to go out there and not run somebody over or get somebody hurt. You know, that's the complete opposite of what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help grow the sport, but at the same time, it gives them opportunity to come in, see if they got it or if they don't have it before they go out and buy, you know, a $150,000 race program.
Yeah.
Because it's, even if you get in cheap, you still got to have the truck, you have to have the trailer, you have to have the spares, and that's something that we have all of. You know, we've got all that. So another thing is for them trying to learn, it's a fast track, if you will. You know, because if they come in and they run with us for a season or even a half a season or whatever, they're going to learn a lot in them months that they're with us. And the whole point of that is to see, well, maybe I got it, or maybe you're scared. You know, it's a different deal. You drive different vehicles, and you're good or you're not. And if you get into this thing, and then you went and bought it all, and then kid decides, or the older person decides that, hey, this ain't for me. Yeah. Now you're going to get half your money back when you sell it all. Yeah. Because that's how this works. That's how this works. You pay 100% and you get back 50%.
Because it's used, right?
If you're lucky. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the way it goes. But I mean, that's my encouragement to people is to come and to try it out, and we're that avenue. We've got all the spares to keep a guy out on the track. You know, if he gets in a mishap in the heat race or something happens in hot laps or whatever, we got all them spares. We got the rear ends, the front ends, the wings, everything to rebuild a car. Yeah. And we do that. I've set this program and just like when I was still racing and competing. You know, because I want everybody to finish the night. You get in trouble in the manual, you're probably done. Yeah. But if there's some problems in the early part of the night, we got the stuff to get them back out. And we got all the options of staggers and everything and shocking and, I mean, just on and on and on and all that stuff that costs all that money. And then you don't even know what you're doing with it, you know? Yeah. Because that's the whole other part of it is you don't even know where to start. You don't know how to service your car. At least they would learn the fundamentals here too. If they want to do that learning deal, there's a few different levels of the schooling deal. We've got a classroom day that you can bring your car in here and we'll go stem to stern with you and teach you how to leak down the barrel valves, set the high speeds, you know, all the things that really, they're not going to translate from a mini sprint, you know, because that's all electronics, right? This is all mechanical, which is another thing that I really find cool with sprint cars. I'm a gearhead, and these things are nothing but gears and mechanical stuff, you know, that's just how I'm wired. Yeah. And I think it's neat as shit. So they're impressive.
They are.
They're simple, but they're complicated.
Yes, very much so.
It sounds like an oxymoron, but that's that's the gist of it. I mean, they've got their own mind sometimes, but you know, it's just like a doctor opening something up. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, which I think I like that challenge too.
Well, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, Barry, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
Thanks so
coming
much.
over. I
Yeah, it's
appreciate
been
it,
awesome.
Eric. It's cool. It's been a good deal.
Yeah, thank you.